Our editor is now set up. We are ready to create a Flutter application. So I will use Flutter new project command in VS Code, and I will call this application email app because we are building this new awesome email client because there is not enough email clients out there. I will put it here. So right now Flutter is creating the directory structure for our project. All the required files are being created. It will take a few moments, and once it's done, it will open the main file in Flutter called main.dart. So as you know, creating Flutter applications means that we are using a programming language called Dart to write those applications. And Dart is a programming language also created by Google. I will do maybe a separate video about Dart, and maybe I will try to explain some of the features of this language as we go with this tutorial. Before we dive into the code, let's run this application and let's see what it does. So I will just close those windows. So I will use a command Flutter launch emulator, and I will use one of the emulators we created previously. So right now, in order to run this application, I just need to go to the debug section in VS Code and to press this start debugging button. So right now Flutter is compiling our application, and it will deploy it to the emulator. It will take a few moments. Okay, it's done. I will just close those other windows here. So let's see what it does. It's just a line of text and a digit. And whenever I click the button, the number increments. So this application is simple, yet complex enough to showcase some of the core features of Flutter. Let's see how it's built. So in Flutter or in Dart, the entry point, the main function is the entry point for our application. The entry point means that it's the first line being executed. And here we say in our main function that in order to run this application, we have to use a class called myApp, which is defined over here. So let's see what it does. First of all, this class extends a thing called stateless widget. So in Flutter, we use widgets and some other classes to build widgets that, and this way we build our applications. There are a few types of widgets. There is a stateless widget, there is a stateful widget, and some other like inherited widget. I will discuss it in a separate video, but right now let's just see what happens here. So you can think about widgets in two ways. The first way is thinking about widgets as of templates, in a sense that you declare what should be displayed. And the second way of thinking about widgets is as of physical boxes or maybe like a presence. So imagine you would like to prank someone, and you have those presents. You have like very small boxes, and then you have medium boxes, and you have large boxes, and even very large boxes. And in order to prank someone, you take those small boxes and you put in medium boxes, and you repeat that, and then you take medium boxes and you put in large boxes, etc. So similar in Flutter, you are building widgets by arranging other widgets, by grouping them together and putting into such boxes, which are widgets as well. So here we say that the My App widget, which we create here, consists of another widget called Material App. So the build method is a method which shows or describes how to display this widget. So we say it's a Material App. And Material is this it's a set of guidelines for creating user interfaces, again from Google. So if you own an Android phone, you are already familiar with this aesthetic. So here we have three elements. We have a title, we have a theme, and we have another widget, My Home Page. So before we go further, let's focus on this theme data. In Material, there is this notion of a primary and a secondary color. So primary color is called primary swatch, and the secondary color is called accent, I believe. So here we say that the primary color of this application is blue, but let's go ahead and let's change this to green. I save, and right away the change is reflected in the emulator without me doing anything. And this feature is called Hot Reload. Hot Reload provides a great developer experience. You're causing a change, and the effect is visible almost right away in the emulator. This way you can bit by bit paint your application to life as you go. It's very cool. So, as I said, there is another color, like a secondary color called accent. And let's change it as well. So I will say color is red, and let's see if it works. Yeah, it works. So some of the elements will be now red, like this button over here. Okay, so this part is done. So the final element is the My Home page. So Material App and Material App widget requires us to specify the home, which is the whole screen here. Let's take a look at this class. So this class is slightly different than the previous one, because the previous one was stateless. And this one is stateful, which means that whenever you're creating a stateful class in Flutter, you are creating two classes as a result. So you're creating the widget itself, My Home Page, but there is also another class which is called My Home Page State, which is the state for this class. And this is like a pair of those two classes that go together in case of a stateful widget. So this widget is relatively simple. Nothing really happens here. And the most of the work is being done in the state class. So over here, there is also a build method and another method which is defined to handle the incrementing the counter. But first, let's focus on the build method. So build method is similar to the previous widget, describes how to display a widget. But in this case, it's a little bit tricky because it's not really a widget, but it's state. So it's a kind of like a strange thing in Flutter, but it is what it is. So we say that in order to do My Home Page, we have to use a widget called Scaffold, which is provided by Material. and Scaffold requires us to use few other widgets, 2 or 3. In our case, we are using 3 elements to build the screen. So the first one is the app bar, the second one is the body, and lastly there is a button over here. So the app bar is relatively simple. There's only a title being displayed. And the body is this white region here. So there is a center class which centers everything, and then it has a child which is a column, because we want to align those two other widgets we have here, two text widgets, the line of text and the counter. We want to align them vertically, right? And so that's relatively straightforward. So there's another interesting feature here. And if we just skim through this comment, they say that we should try to invoke a debug painting, either by pressing P in the console or by choosing toggle debug paint. So I will choose toggle debug painting, and it shows the boxes, the borders in our application. So we can see the paddings, we can see the margins and all that stuff. So I think that's relatively straightforward. Let's disable it. And the last element is to discuss this floating button. So the floating button consists of a tooltip, of a child, and there is an onPress handler callback, which is defined over here. So whenever we click it, whenever we press this button, the counter is being updated. So let's just, so that's pretty much it. I will stop this video here, and in the next video I will discuss what is set state, and I will maybe dive a little bit deeper in a distinction between stateless and stateful widget.